Chapter 10. "Where is he?" Roylin asked in an anguished voice. "Where's Mr. Miller?" Cooper reached down into the pit with both hands and came up with nothing but sandbags and sand. Amazement and relief swept through Roylin Bailey. Mr. Miller was not buried in the basement after all. But where was he? Maybe he was not dead. Maybe he was alive somewhere. Oh, man! And all this time I thought poor Mr. Miller was buried in this stinking place, Roylin shouted. "Looked like Tuttle wrapped the blanket around the sandbags to make it look and feel like a body," Cooper said. "But where's the old dude, then?" "You think Tuttle buried him somewhere else?" Roylin asked, dread returning to his heart. Cooper shrugged. "Only one way to find out. When old Tuttle comes home this afternoon, we meet him right here. We surprise him by standing by this pit here, and maybe we're going to shock him so much he tells the truth." "Cooper, I'll never forget what you've done for me, standing by me like this," Roylin said. "It ain't over yet," Cooper said. He looked at his watch. "Tuttle going to be back in a couple of hours. I'm starving. We got time to grab some burgers and get back here." The boys drove to a nearby fast food restaurant and got burgers and fries. For the first time in 2 weeks, Roylin enjoyed a meal. He at least had the hope now that he had not caused his friend's death, that Mr. Miller had not died after all. After eating, Roylin and Cooper went back to the apartment building and waited by the open grave. Tuttle was very predictable. He always came and went at the same times. Today was no different. At a few minutes after 5 o'clock, the sounds of Tuttle's off-key whistling echoed upstairs. He seemed in good humor. He must have been lucky at the racetrack today. He walked slowly down the stairs into the basement. Then, at the bottom, he flicked on the light. "Let me handle this," Cooper whispered moments before Tuttle made his appearance. Roylin did not mind. Cooper was about 6 inches taller than he was. On the football field, Cooper intimidated Bluford's opponents just by looking at them. Since he shaved his head, he looked even scarier. Now Cooper darted into Tuttle's path, casting a huge shadow over the little man. "Hey, Tuttle, me and Roylin dug up Mr. Miller's grave, and we know what went down. We know the whole story, and now we want to hear what you got to say for yourself. Or else you want to use that grave for your own self." Roylin knew the little man was instantly terrified. Tuttle backed away from Cooper, his mouth twitching violently, his red-rimmed eyes wide with fear. What are you talking about?" Cooper backed Tuttle into a corner and barked into his trembling face. "Just say what happened, man, and you better not forget anything, 'cause I'm about to blow up, Tuttle. When I get mad, I don't leave nothing standing." Tuttle's mouth formed itself into a sick, desperate smile. "It was just a little joke. Just a little joke is all. Nobody got hurt. I saw Roylin take the old man's money, and I thought the boy needed to be taught a lesson. Yeah, that was it. I was only trying to help the boy. And see, it was time for the demented old man to be sent away anyway, so I just hurried it up a little." Roylin's legs felt weak. Had Tuttle killed Mr. Miller? Tuttle was now standing at the edge of the grave. He stared down at it nervously from time to time. "I just sent the old man away to a nursing home and played this little joke." "Nursing home? Joke!" Roylin managed to cry out, his mouth trembling and his eyes filling with tears. Mr. Miller was still alive. "That ain't no joke, Tuttle," said Cooper. "That's sick. You're just looking for someone to do your work for you." Cooper moved closer to Tuttle, and the little man lost his balance, tumbling into the shallow grave. He cowered there in the dirt, the whites of his eyes glowing in the murky darkness. "Don't hurt me," he wept. "Please, don't hurt me. No harm was done. No harm." "You made me think I caused the death of somebody I cared about," Roylin cried. "I didn't want to live anymore because of you. I was thinking about killing myself." Roylin trembled as he spoke. "Where's Mr. Miller, Tuttle?" Cooper demanded. "One of those nursing homes," Tuttle stammered. "Please, look, I'll give you money. How much you want? I'll pay you if you don't hurt me." Tuttle groped in his pockets for what looked like a couple of $100. He held it towards Roylin and Cooper. Cooper took the money and then let all the bills flutter back in Tuttle's face. as he sat in the shallow grave. "You like some demon out of hell," Cooper said, shaking his head. "You belong down here with the garbage." As he talked, Cooper picked up the shovel and took a step towards Tuttle, towering over the little man. "Now tell me exactly what Mr. Miller is, or you might not walk out of this basement," Cooper growled. "Cottonwood Court," Tuttle whined. "Please, let me go." "What do you think, Roylin? Seem ashamed to let that nice grave go to waste," Cooper said in his most sinister voice. "Yeah, I hate for stuff to go to waste," Roylin agreed. "Please, no, please," Tuttle whimpered. Cooper and Roylin turned and silently walked up the stairs and out the door. "Coop," Roylin said, "I feel like a ton of bricks just fell off my chest. I feel like I was the one that just crawled out of a grave. I don't ever want to feel like that again." Cooper grinned at last, looking like himself again. Likely that good-for-nothing ain't going to be playing tricks like that again on anybody. He's so scared, I think that last tooth in his mouth got rattled out from shaking. "Coop, you're the best friend a guy ever had. Man, I always remember this. Listen to me, if you ever need a friend, I'll be there for you. I don't care what time of day or night, I'll be there, I mean it. Coop, you're the best there is." Cooper grinned and playfully punched Roylin in the chest. "Gotta go now. Tara wants me to take her to this stupid movie where everybody sits around and talks. It's real boring. No fights, no car chases, nothing but some fool whispering to his girl about how much he loves her. Maybe I can get some sleep in the movie if those fools in the picture ain't whining or crying too loud." When Roylin finally returned to his apartment, his mother was fixing dinner and Amberlynn was cutting up vegetables. "You want me to help with anything?" Roylin asked. Roylin's mother looked at Amberlynn and then at Roylin. "You got a favorite boy?" his mother asked. Roylin smiled. He remembered the words of an old hymn he heard in church. He could not remember the words exactly, but he recalled enough to say, "Mom, I was dead, now I'm alive. I was blind, now I see." Mom smiled. "Well, see your way over to the cabin and take those dishes and set the table." His mother's smile warmed Roylin's heart like it never had before. He would do right by her now. He would do right by everyone.